Oh, he's leaving for this. He's not staying.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should stay for
Yeah, you
this.
should stay for that.
You will like the clip. You will like the clip.
Say less. I'll do double time.
So, so obviously, as we was talking about, Jill Stein and Butch, the Green Party's candidates, was on Breakfast Club. Sort of a shock to some people, but during that opportunity, Charlemagne brought on Angela Rye, which is their, political person. I'm surprised they didn't have Teslin Figaro, which is their other political person, but they had some other sister I never knew, and they were attacking from the start. They was trying to defend AOC, and they was trying to defend Kamala, which Butch pronounced messed up a couple of times. And yeah, it was a big show. But I want to play the first clip of it when Charlemagne's asked them, like, who is the Green Party? What are y'all about? And I thought it was pretty interesting. Then I'll play another clip of, which I think is going to be the clip that looped. And Angela Rye started looping it, where it looks like this black woman is arguing with this white woman, gray, white hair, white woman, about her speaking white supremacist rhetoric. And so, but the first one is the clip.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
We in the building.
Y'all are the Green Party presidential candidate and running mate. Tell the people, what is the Green Party and how are they different from the Democrats and the Republicans?
First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. West side, when we ride, come equipped with game.
Well, for one thing, we don't take money from billionaires and bankers and APAC and Wall Street and the war machine. So we're a people-powered party. That's what makes us totally different. That's what liberates us, to actually tell it like it is and to stand up and fight for the people. And that's what the Green Party is about, actually fighting for people, planet, and peace over profit.
They're just taking the votes away from other parties. What are your thoughts on that?
So that's kind of the propaganda of the power machine that wants you to stay in your place, basically, and to think that resistance is futile and think that you don't own your vote. I mean, who owns your vote? Politicians have to earn your vote. They don't own it. And that's the question. Are they earning your vote? And don't let...
So again, that clip is longer because I was trying to cut it down, but we'll stop there. Because I believe that she was able to be very concise about who the Green Party was about, and really not shifted on any of like their political aims, but really their political line. And but again, as after that, it just started getting more intense and more intense. For a long time, Angela was doing all the question. Angela Rye was doing all the question. She even apologized to the other hosts because she was kind of going at them. But
that's a fake apology. She's doing that on purpose. Yeah, I mean, that's what she was brought there to do, right? To be the attack dog, so they can sit back and be like, "Oh, okay, let her go at it or whatever." But I agree. I mean, for the first time in my life, I thought about voting for a white woman. This is the closest I've come to thinking I might go vote Green. I even had crazy thoughts. It's like, you know what, in Atlanta, we should have a Green Party. She said some things about Worker Families Party. I really enjoyed the interview. And I thought, they did a great job. Ivan Butch, who I don't even know, you know what I mean? Like I know from some social media stuff or whatever. I was impressed by him too. I was impressed by the whole get up, the way they defended themselves. So I give them a lot of credit. And I think, yeah, they had that chick frying like as she should have been for all those white supremacist talking points that she did use when she did speak.
Well, I think Charlemagne brought his pit bull on who had no teeth. So
you want me to pull this? Is that why you shared it?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
In 2002, you ran for governor of Massachusetts and you lost. In 2004, you ran for state representative in Massachusetts and you lost. In 2006, you ran for secretary of the Commonwealth. You also lost. In 2010, you ran for governor again, this time against the first Black governor in Massachusetts, Deval Patrick. You lost. In 2012, you ran against this.
This is the Breakfast Club clip? This is the one of all the clips. This is the one they put up.
Less than
that you just ran against all the Black candidates and lost.
In 2016, you ran against Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, losing significantly with 1.4 million votes cast for you, but zero electoral college votes. I agree with y'all. It needs to be abolished. But 136 million people voted And you lost that election as well. So I want to know what the pathway to victory is for you in 2024.
This is the framing of the empire and the oligarchy and white supremacy and colonialism, which wants you to feel that resistance is futile. This is about voter blaming and voter shaming.
Let me just no. What you're not going to say is that I'm ever parodying anything.
But you
at the hands
are.
of white supremacy. This is something that's very different. This is me asking you again. It's a binary
I'm
choice.
just pointing out that these are the talking points.
No,
these are the same talking points that the DNC
I didn't get my talking
uses.
This is not DNC talking points. This is my research. And sadly for you, the research says you have never won an election. You have been successful in pushing forward certain agendas. As an advocate, but you have never won an election as a candidate. Is that a winning strategy?
So, in order to win, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And in this case, it's many steps. Let me point out, please, you need to compare the Green Party, not with those who are taking money from AIPAC and the War Machine and Wall Street. You've got to compare us, you have to compare us to other grassroots, non-corporate.
She told me I'm a white supremacist.
We need.
She said I was parodying the talking points of a white supremacy. That was my disappointment.
May I finish, please? May I get to my point? May I please get to my point? Let me finish, please. Thank you. You're trying to compare us to the Democratic Party and the Republican Party with their billions of dollars, or to the Working Families Party, which is not under attack. As a people-powered party, not taking money from Wall Street or the War Machine or AIPAC, we are on very different turf. But if you compare us to all other similar parties, which are not taking corporate money, which are not bought and paid for, which can stand up against endless war, against homelessness, against the climate crisis, against the housing and the healthcare crisis. Campaigns like us, who can actually stand up for the people, they last exactly 1 to 2 election cycles, and then they're gone. So we are actually the pillar of strength among people-powered politics. And what have we done? Over that period, we have established the Green Party as the vehicle for people-powered politics. We have also launched the agenda, which has been adopted by the progressive Democrats, given lip service, not actually advanced. But whether you're looking at healthcare as a human right, launched by Ralph Nader as a national issue, reparations, launched by our campaign as a national issue in 2012. If you look at free public higher education, bailing out students and ending student debt, you had Congress bailing out the crooks on Wall Street who crashed the economy, but not bailing out homeowners, not bailing out students. That agenda was launched by us. So I think it's not fair, and it is the talking point of AOC the other day, who is taking her marching orders from the DNC. This is exactly what they say, that we are only running for president.
Of color as parroting talking points instead of us looking at basic math. One thing that AOC has done that you haven't is win some elections. And so when I'm asking you, if you won any elections, that is one point. If you want to tell me that you want to push a more progressive agenda, if you want to talk about pushing a progressive agenda, you can do that. Not by running necessarily for president. Your track record as a state rep candidate, as a secretary of the Commonwealth candidate, as a gubernatorial candidate, as a presidential candidate are woefully lacking. So I'm asking if you consider going about it a different way instead of telling me I'm parroting white supremacist talking points.
So I can tell you,
it's all about her.
These are the facts. The numbers are not on your side.
Her white supremacist talking points.
Wow, right.
She was like, "You finna talking so I could talk."
So I'm actually surprised that Angela Rye put that long enough clip on her. She allowed,
because it makes her look worse.
Yeah. So again, this goes back to comments me and Jared had. Like, so there was conversations about getting somebody like Jared on Breakfast Club, and I was telling Charlamagne, like, you wouldn't put nobody on like that. You wouldn't put nobody with this type of politics. And it got it back and forth. And he was like, well, the reason why I wouldn't put him on because you called me arrogant, blah blah blah. But if they were forced to, which I feel,
my chance. That's, in other words, I hope everybody heard that.
Listen,
but ruined my shot.
Slow down. If they were forced to,
you could have had.
If they were forced to, they would. And I think a couple reasons why they were forced to. That whole Cornel West joint, where Cornel West was trying to say something about they ain't put me around the black people, and then obviously their popularity kind of forced them to put them on this platform. And there was a point where the two sisters, when Butch mispronounced Kamala's name, they gave him the business, so they tried to, and they said, you do understand why it's important for you to pronounce her name correct, because the brother siding with the other, meaning you with the other over there. Like, it was so much punches that I'm telling you, they was bobbing and weaving them and then swinging back and hitting. So what I was telling Jared, and I was telling why Charlemagne couldn't put a Jared on, because it would be really hard for them to clip and spin, because they gonna hold the line.
Oh no, me. So I think I appreciate that, but I think the opposite. I think I would be more in jeopardy in that situation than them. I don't think, because in that moment, I think I haven't seen the interview, so I haven't seen how well Butch did, but Jill did very well, I thought, in that moment. And then when she got off the points about the history of the Green Party and how they've been co-opted by the Democrats, all Rye could do was interrupt her to say, you want to call me white supremacist? And it's like, so you just ignored all of those points that she was making just to bring it back. So I don't know, on my best day, maybe, but 99%, I probably would have been like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I would have done as well as that. So I don't know.
There was a time when Charlemagne and Angela Rye was asking them question on question about Russia and all these other things. And then when she was hammering a good ass answer, Charlemagne interrupted her and said, all you're doing is talk about geopolitics. What are y'all gonna do for the America? I was like,
no, that was hilarious too. Yeah, they started again. This is, as Stein is pointing out, they started using the talking points, and they started calling her a Russian agent. Didn't you meet with Putin? Didn't you sit down at the same table as Putin? Putin was at that table and you sat down. American intelligence says blah, 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 blah. Whereas people, I can't remember if they pointed it out directly, but people in the comments were like, oh, so now we're relying on American intelligence? And I would have went further. I'd be like, so you mean the same American intelligence that called Nelson Mandela a terrorist? That's who we're relying on? When they could have rolled them points off. But I do think that they did a great job, because the only thing they kept coming back to them was trying to do the identity politics of like the black woman. So you messed up her name. You're going to sit here and call a black woman, that kind of thing. I'm using the talking points. That's all they had, because they rolled them. They kept it up. And that other woman who was on, she couldn't, there's nothing that she really did or said. I don't even know why she was there. She was just there.
Because Tesla couldn't show up. Because Tesla and Figaro couldn't show up, probably.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know what she contributed. Because Rye was the attack dog, but she was basically speaking. I mean, what Stein said, all of the Democratic talking points that they've been using, and they kept if it was a tennis match, they kept hitting them back. They kept hitting the back across the court. So again, I thought they did really well. And it was interesting to see how mad she got, or at least performatively mad, so that she could be like, oh, how dare you? When all of her questions were hostile questions at these folks. I mean, she's not going that hard. Somebody pointed out in the chat where Hillary Clinton was on, she got off easy. Yeah. And then my last thing on that was like, at no point, like, they talked about the genocide, and they said genocide like 4,000 times. It was that probably made it the best interview in the world for me. They said genocide, genocide, genocide. The host said shit. No reaction, no anger. No, let's dig deeper into this. They just let it pass. It just passed over their head. The minute they fucked up Kamala's name, all of a sudden, yeah, I did. I will continue to do it. Kamala, I don't give a fuck. The moment they fucked up her name, it was like they all interrupted. Oh, no, wait, it's Kamala.
And he did it 3 times. He messed up the name 3 times, and as Ricky said, the clip was a masterclass. But if you look at that whole interview, I promise you, even when I think what made her really mad, other than they knew all the questions that they was going to ask, they had an answer for it, and they refuted everything, was Butch's ability to roll with the punches and get Charlemagne on his side. Because at one point, Charlemagne said, "Don't be disrespectful. You're not being disrespectful." Like immediately, because of the mispronouncing. And then there was a time when Angela was trying to give it to him, and he was like, "You know what? I apologize." And he explained why he's messing up. And he said, "Anytime I mess up, give it to my black ass." And he was sincere with the apology. And he said, "Now back to my point." Yeah. And then they tried to switch the question. He answered that question and noted back to my point. So, and the way he was doing it, she got upset where she like looked off camera and said, "That's their strategy." Yeah, that's their strategy.
Charlemagne was actually the best host. He actually was the one who played the in between moderating figure. So my only issue with their interview, you just reminded me of this, was that when people this happens with us, it happens with everybody. You got two people who all want to talk. So Jill Stein obviously needs a button press to be like, yo, it's time for you to shut the fuck up, because you're going on and on and on. Because my man Butch was trying to, I think at one point he said to her, he's like, if you pass the baton, or if you give me so there definitely there wasn't like any overt tension. But I feel like underneath it all, if I'm sitting there as the if I was a vice president, which I would never submit myself to, because I was like, I can't be the vice president of some white woman. But if I did submit myself to it, there would be an ego part of me being like, it's just white woman going to just keep on talking, because I need my shot.
Stay in line, boy.
Yeah, I was like, I felt a little, not that hard, but I felt a little bit like they were he was trying to get in. And I don't know if they've quite worked out that chemistry of how to do it as a team. That was the only thing
I think I read that differently. Like, so one, I feel like Ajamu did a really good job, I guess, maybe talking with Jill Stein over the years. And you can see that Butch was in his element and Jill Stein wasn't, even because when they do is they interview, and then after the interview, they announce that they're going to be on Breakfast Clubs, because all this is pre-recorded. And when Jill and him is announcing, you could tell she was exhausted with the way she was saying, we're going to be on Breakfast Club in the morning. And so I do think because that element was there, she allowed him to do his thing, because he would answer and respond. And when he gave that historian and he gave that anti-blackness that Kamala is representing, he ate, right? And I think Jill Stein was letting him do that, because I think both of them knew that line was going to come. You a brother with the other. I think they knew that. Yeah. And they was ready for him to be able to speak freely, so it don't look like, she's even though she's a president candidate, like she's his puppeteer or something like that. He spoke freely. So I think I read that a little bit different. It was tactical.
Which is fascinating because my bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying this is the biggest popularity contest of all. Continue, Jared.
No, I was just good. I mean, why doesn't that logic apply? I mean, Kamala was working for a white man. I mean, Obama had a white vice president. I mean, what do they expect is supposed to happen? Now you want it to be the most black campaign. And if they were all black, you'd probably have less, be less likely to invite them on and have a discussion, because they'd be even less likely to. So but I do get, so years ago, and I'm never, for every once in a while, my name would get floated in certain conversations. I don't think ever that seriously. And I think, and even from just what little I've seen, I would never have been as good as any of these other folks that they've chosen. But years ago, if you all remember, Roseanne Barr joined the Green Party.
Roseanne Barr joined the Green Party at one point?
Yeah, it was right after, I want to say it was right after 2008 when McKinney and Clement, when Rosa and Cynthia ran, I think. And a couple folks in the party asked if I would be Roseanne's vice president. And I said exactly what Kamal said. I was like, I can't, I just, and I don't even, and I'm, even though I'm contradicting my previous point, I did have that sentiment. I was like, I'm not running around here behind a white woman, especially Roseanne Barr. Like, I was like, this is especially, and this is before Roseanne was overtly in her right wing. Like, this was when she was still seeming like a working class, sort of thoughtful. It almost made sense that she would have been in the Green Party at that moment. But I was like, I can't, I'm good.
You'd have been driving Miss Daisy.
That's what, even if it's not true, that's what it is. Still, it's that nationalism that's like,
it did, yeah. It's just a little bit of that. That's it. It is.
Are you agreeing with Kamal? I think I know Air Doctor will, but do you think she should have paused him a little bit, or yeah,
she should have paused him a little bit? What do you mean?
Yeah,
no.
I thought you said
I was saying that she overtalked. My point was that I thought that she did more over talking. That he tried to jump. He was trying to get places to jump in. Again, for me, it was a small critique. It's like, I think Is this a matter of like working out styles, playing off each other? Because at the beginning, she did, you know, he had to wait that uncomfortable wait when you're like there, like you do anytime you do a joint interview with somebody, some interviewers interviewing two people, and maybe one person is maybe the bigger star or the more well-known person, or the topic is more their groove. You're sitting there as that second person being, whether people want to admit it or not, you're still sitting there with that second person waiting for your opportunity to say some words, to expound on a point. So I just think that he looked you could see him in his like the facial, him trying to look for his place to get into the game kind of thing. So that's a small point, but it just was funny to me because I could see it and I could feel she's used to talking. And sometimes, when people talk, they just keep fucking talking. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those.
Yeah, but I think there's always said it again.
She's like the Diallo of that crew. That's all I would say.
Beyonce.
Yeah, she's the Beyonce.
So it looks like a barbershop talk, and even on the corner, and like they're kind of just vibing, they're all talking. But again, I think the way in which he delivers his personality, he even said like the reason why they want to abolish the Electoral College is because it's set up to where you get the two gangs, the real gangs, the red and the blue, banging on each other. So he using language like that, and so I don't know. I think
he did good. Don't get me wrong. No, I like for somebody who like in terms of a background opinion of him, I was like, I don't know who's this dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like I was like, who they picked? Who's dude? And then I saw some of the videos. And I admit it. I saw some of the videos. I was like, he looks a little corny to me. That was my impression.
100,000 followers on Instagram, though.
Yeah. And I don't know him, whatever like that. And he don't know me. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he don't give a fuck about my opinion, right?
Well,
but what I'm saying, but when I saw him, that's the first time I've ever seen him in this position talking, and he did fantastic. No, he was. Yeah. I was talking to somebody else about it, and I was like, who's this Butch dude or whatever? And then I looked at this interview afterwards, after I had that conversation. I was like, he was good. He presented himself well. He was, and you're right. Like particularly in that situation where it's obviously a black audience, all the hosts are black or semi-black. It's like he can get off on places where she can't. And he did. He mentioned, movement history and all that. He's obviously more knowledgeable than everybody there on Black radical tradition and history. And I think he got into that groove. And when it was his turn, I think that's where he punched them. That's where he got them back at. Because I think they kind of stopped him when he was going to go deep into the identity reductionism or identity politics stuff. He didn't really get to complete the thought all the way because I think they were over talking and everything. Yeah. But he was basically trying to shut down their shit around. Oh, y'all going to come in here and try to act like y'all, because y'all black women, in this particular case, did y'all have the interest of black people when y'all are obviously here with white supremacist talking points or stupid for the Democratic Party?
So you think it would have been the same result if they had Claudia De La Cruz up there?
Yeah, that Black Wall Street thing was kind of.
That's what I was going to say. That was going to be my only critique. But he actually is CMB adjacent, by the way. Butch is he adjacent to CMB. So we'll talk about that later.
Another overlap is that. Apparently, one of my AAPRP work studies circle comrades knows his work and has interacted with him and raves about his scholarship on Islam, and I think particularly on Islam and the African world. So, so there's And and I do think the difference. Well, just quickly, the ear doctor's question. I think there would have been a major difference if Claudia and Karina were involved. And I think that's exactly why they won't be invited to that platform.
I was thinking too.
One of the major differences is both of them, I think, are women of color. So Angela couldn't have used that women of color joint, and AOC would have get even more demolished. But on the Black Wall Street thing, I'm not sure, because that was my critique too, but I'm not sure if he was playing to the audience or that's really his class analysis. I'm not sure, because honestly, I feel like even some good intention or solid politic people, they'll miss the Black Wall Street thing. I don't know if everybody looked into that. So, but he did mention that a couple times, and he said we want to build a Black Wall Street now, and a couple of them black businesses, and they can't burn it down. I was like,
no, except for Jared, all black people like Black Wall Street. They look like that, like whether there's an analysis or no analysis, it's like intuitive. Like if you hear the story of Black Wall Street, all black people are on the floor melting. They took our money. They took that kind of thing. So all like so
And then
yeah. So
Jared's
I
by
think that's
himself
privilege.
in the corner, like
Jared's by himself in the corner. nobody joins him on the Black Wall Street thing unless they want to be in the corner with him, kind of thing. But I think in general, black folks, that's the kind of argument that relates to a black crowd. And again, I think he knew.
Wait a minute. What
happened?
Shout out to Jamil. My brother's in the chat. Butch Ware is a DC dude from 8th Street Northeast. I think he's so Jamil. When was he on 8th Street in Northeast? That's the question. Was he on 8th Street then or on this 8th Street? Because this 8th Street, everybody want to be on this 8th Street. The last time I was on 8th Street in Northeast, I was like, when did Virginia take over DC? But no, I hear you. I didn't know that. Look, obviously, to be perfectly honest, I'm always surprised when I hear about some black radical thinker that I've not heard of or even encountered or met even. Like at this point, I honestly feel like if you black and radical somewhere in this world, we've crossed paths somewhere, even if we don't like each other. Mm-hmm. But obviously, okay, all right, okay. Black 8th Street Northeast with his grandfather. Okay, thank you. Hey.
All right, no. Uh-oh.
Well, that's certified right there. So he is. If anybody,
he getting love in Cali now.
Dude.
That's as much of a certification as I think we could expect.
He's a hood academic. I got
another clip up. Let's go. I'm here for the clips. I wanted the clips.
Hopefully it starts where I needed to.
While you're doing that, you already got it. My bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm trying to start it towards the end.
Go ahead. I'll come back to it. I was just going to tell people to go to Patreon and check out the new interview we did with for Saturdays with Renee with Dr. Hassan Abdul Salam from Abandoned Harris, talking about not only his Israeli detainment and torture, but also again why we can't support and reward Kamala with support after her support for genocide. So go to Patreon and check that out.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the right time, but there we go.
Resistance movements in West Africa and the diaspora. As a historian of the Black resistance tradition in continental as well as diasporic Africa, I am personally offended by the way that Blackness is being weaponized in this electoral cycle in order to justify white supremacist genocide in Gaza.
Expound.
Please.
Okay. So Malcolm said of Zionism, of the Zionist state, the Israeli state, he said that this is a white Jewish population, the Ashkenazi population, being given power by white imperialists to remove brown Arabs from their land. He said, so therefore Zionism is white supremacy. In 1979, Open Letter to the Born Again, James Baldwin said the same thing. He said the state of Israel was not created for the salvation of the Jews. It was created for the salvation of Western interests. Okay, so when you go through Kwame Ture, Malcolm X, James Baldwin, Toni Morrison, Angela Davis, Assata Shakur, these are all people that cited the Palestinian resistance movement, not even to bring in the Africans, right? Not to mention Nelson Mandela, not to mention Thomas Sankara, who talked about Zionism as being the face of imperialism in the Middle East, right? This is what the Black radical tradition taught me. And the Black radical tradition taught me that if we weaponize our Blackness in favor of white supremacy, then we become apostates from Blackness itself, because Blackness is not a race. It is an oppositional ideology to white supremacy. I'm a historian of Africa by training. Never before in human history had people speaking hundreds of different languages made themselves into one people, developed a common culture so that you and I can relate to one another. You and I can relate to one another on the basis of a shared culture. And we got our Latin and Caribbean brothers and sisters, especially Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, but also, more broadly, right? They share in that culture. That is a miracle. It's never happened before in human history, because what happened is that an oppositional identity to white supremacy came into being, and that is us. And when I see that identity now being weaponized to justify the most heinous genocide in our time, like Harriet Tubman is rolling over in her grave right now. Sojourner Truth is rolling over in her grave right now. Bell Hooks is rolling over in her grave right now. Who did I miss? Do you know what I'm saying? The idea that we would weaponize something as sacred as Black womanhood and then utilize this to justify blowing up Palestinian kids.
You tell me.
No, you tell me. No, you go. You hear what I'm saying.
What
so
I'm
tell
hearing,
me, yes.
because I want to make sure I clarify before I respond to it, is that because Kamala is a Black woman and she's running as a Black woman and she's not speaking out against things that you want her to, she's using her Black womanhood to.
No, I think so. So what I saw is I saw a lot of Black abolitionists of both sexes, of all gender identities. I saw a lot of Black abolitionists going hard in the paint at Joe Biden, right? And then as soon as Kamala was at the top of the ticket, radio silence. All of a sudden, people that you could count on that were solid through and through as abolitionists suddenly become apologists for empire.
Have you thought about why?
Yes, of course I've thought about why.
Why is that? Why is that?
Why is it okay?
He just said it.
Aspirational hope that is related to like Black achievement and Black power and Black excellence, and it was weaponized in the Obama presidency. But let me
we heard that side.
Please,
could it
educate me.
Could it be? I know her.
Yes.
Could it be that she is someone who listens to voices on all sides? Could it be that when the opportunity, you can turn your head, but I've been in the room. You can turn your head, but I've been in the room, Dr. Ware.
Don't be disrespectful, Dr. Ware. You're not though.
No, I was
not. Just been feeling the spirit, but I'm just saying. I've been in the room.
I was actually not turning my back. I was looking to see what the response on the other side of the room was.
We're just over here engaged.
Yeah, no, because I can't see the people that are behind me. So no disrespect.
We're all having a healthy conversation. Nobody's against anybody.
I agree. No.
I ain't never turning my back on Angela Rye ever again. I'm gonna sit over.
Let Ms. Rye finish her story.
The last thing that I need. The last thing that I need is this sister making.
He started it. She's like,
yeah, right. He started.
You was going there.
Healthy conversation.
Healthy
conversation.
Because it's part of the strategy.
Because I knew you was kind of getting your way to this, and it's very disappointing to see you do that and then say,
"Get away, Lauren. Get away, Lauren."
I'm still trying to make.
Get away. What do we misconstrue?
So how I?
Well, let Angela finish her point.
Okay, you go ahead.
I would definitely like to hear.
Could it be?
You get a little nervous. I understand, bro.
No, I'm straight.
Happens to me all the time.
No, I just had to like.
Although that might be true,
Okay, all right.
I can't help
you don't need to be protected from me. My words are not weapons, and actually, it's just really to dispel some of the myths. I think that since you all believe in polls a lot more than I do, there are a lot of folks that are saying that they still are trying to get to know Kamala Harris, even clearly how to pronounce her name.
Yep.
So what I would say is
pronunciate her name.
It could be
We're talking about pronunciation,
opportunity
right?
For negotiation, for hearing another perspective. I've been in the rooms with her on justice reform issues and others, help to convene those rooms.
That she's defending her girl.
Because what we do know about how politics
that's my friend
is that it can't just be this wish agenda. I love a lot of what you all have on your
agenda. She replies not at all about the genocide.
I give you the sun, the rain, the moon, the stars, and the mountains.
But and none of what he said about the Black radical tradition.
She just called their policies a wish agenda.
Y'all's money blowing up other people's kids are saying it's a wish list to have an actual social program.
I'm sorry,
that's propaganda, man. That's propaganda.
It's not propaganda. I'm saying it because I've worked on Capitol Hill. It's very difficult to get.
Yeah, we know you worked on Capitol
Hill. Just for example,
Jill can talk about what you can do just from the executive
Dr.
office.
Ware.
Yes.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Wow.
Yeah, that's an excellent clip on how they do their job. It's like so they ignore everything he said, everything, and then do exactly what it is that he's already showing that they're doing, which is basically using, like, he said he looks the other way, he's being disrespectful, or to not even respond directly to what he's saying about the weaponization of race, class, and gender against the very people who are being oppressed, and then we're supposed to just shut up and take it like she's our only choice or our only possibility because you sat in rooms with her, because she listens. What kind of bullshit is that? She's, again, over, depending on what stats you look at, a minimum over 40,000 people massacred through U.S. weapons and bombs and strategic positioning and analysis and intelligence. Not a word on that. They can't even open their mouths to do that. But he turns the other way. Oh, you're being disrespectful.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
That's disrespectful.
That's disrespectful. Killing Palestinians en masse. Well, that's just a wish list that we have to stop that. but don't dare turn your fucking back on me. How dare you? How dare you?
So in the YouTube comments and on Angela Rye's Instagram, the comments is actually more surprising too, because they're like calling her out on it, which I wasn't expecting. And again, that YouTube, I mean, it's obviously some people that we know in there too, but there are some people who are like seeing the contradictions. I think some of the contradictions became a little bit more clear. And I think they went to the DNC convention, Breakfast Club. They might have was there. Some people were saying they might have was there. But if they wasn't there, they definitely should ask the DNC to cut the check, CTC.
Oh yeah, I saw the responses too underneath, and it was all I like after the show on YouTube, and 95. I in fact, me scrolling down the first 15 I saw were all firing back at Angela Reeve and for the Breakfast Club for the bullshit, for the disrespect. They said the white woman had a better policy for black people than the Breakfast Club people did.
Oh wow!
I loved all of that. They gave it to them.
Yeah, I mean, with that, I mean, again, this even goes back to when we were having the conversations around Breakfast Club being positioned by that that silly report as I forgot the language they used, but remember they were considered sort of legitimate media or news as opposed to the what was that report that black woman was the front face of that called out African Stream? Anyway, but they were positioning the Breakfast Club as somehow this rational platform that was in fact more dangerous and threatening because the way they suggested it was because it is such a good platform that has good politics reaching so many good black people that they are susceptible to being manipulated by the nefarious left wing.
So
but you can see right there that this is the most left we've seen politically that they've gone, and you can see the position that the show has. I mean, the hostility is just, it's palpable, even seeing it second, third hand indirectly through mediated through various, levels of YouTube. It's like, damn, I mean, so yeah, go ahead.
So there's this statement here, right? The Breakfast Club is not a serious platform for anything beyond entertainment and gossip, and kind of a little bit what Dr. CMB was saying. CBS, I'm sorry, CMB. Do you think it is quite dangerous, and they are expanding their reach? And so you will, if Harris wins, you'll have a Ole, you'll have a Angela Rye, a Tesla Figaro, and they're gonna grow larger. AOC, these people gonna grow even larger and larger and have more influence. And again, unfortunately, there's a large segment of people that think that these people are radical, and they think these people they'll give it to you. You don't saw Ole on Breakfast Club giving it to Eric Adams. And so, yeah, what do y'all think in terms of, like, we know it's not serious to us, but is it a dangerous platform? And are they doing a number that makes it harder? I don't know, makes it harder for us to organize? Or
that's always that's often my position, that these platforms that fake that they are, because they're only there to set the left edge, to say anybody left of us is just lunacy, and that's what they were doing to Jill and to Butch. It's just they're left of us, so they're lunatics, and that's where I do find them to be dangerous, because they have, again, my greatest amount of interaction with the Black working class are my students. And these platforms, even indirectly, have tremendous influence on young people. And young people do think that even indirectly, when they get a clip or just some similar analysis distilled through something else, it's these bigger platforms that give legitimacy to even that. So even if you're watching a lesser big YouTuber who's parroting that same logic, they're getting it all from the same place. And then as I just last night, I'm doing this research on this chapter I'm struggling to write, and you have people who have historically, in 1969, you have people calling the Black bourgeoisie and Black capitalism, equating it to apartheid. So, in other words, there is this overlay of a Black elite that want and benefit, even unconsciously, they want this apartheid to continue. because there's no, why end it? My cushy role is taken away. I'm good. I don't mind distilling this nonsense to an unwitting Black audience. So yeah, that's just yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say real quickly. I think I think it's a chance, right? So I think I'm not one who says that people should not go on these shows because of their audience, and you never know who gets politicized, who hears something. If you can do well in the setting. And again, I think the Green Party candidates did particularly well in this setting. I don't think that's always the case. I don't think they're always going to be inclined to bring on real leftists, real radicals to have these discussions. Instead, they'll bring on people like Umar and some other folks or whatever. But I think in some cases, they will bring on, for their various reasons, left folks to have discussions. And the question becomes, can these left folks sort of penetrate the top level dogma or propaganda that's being thrown at them to give better answers? Like obviously historically we've seen Malcolm do it. I've seen Farrakhan do it. You've seen other sort of people who have stronger politics, let's say, bust through what's meant to be something that's supposed to make them look foolish or clownish or make their views look like they're outside the mainstream, or they're dangerous, but have broken through in ways. I mean, we look at the documentary that made the Nation of Islam, the phenomenon it became. It was a CBS hit job, right? It was a hit job back in the day, where a voice like Malcolm came through that and busted through and reached people that they didn't expect to be reached, right? So I do think there's a possibility. I just don't think it's a probability, and I don't think it always happens the way you want it to happen. And then you have editing, and you have other things that take place that can really, instead of supporting movement growth, can hurt it. So I'm not one to say don't do it, but I'm one to say do it carefully and know that there are pitfalls, but also there can be a reward if people get what you're saying and they think you do a good job of defending your views.
Ear Doctor's saying he's got to go. So do you want to?
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do a Friday. We're gonna do a Friday. Since y'all want to mimic some of the other Fridays, we're gonna extend for a couple minutes. Since Demal Franklin is here now, so
I can. I got it. I got you, Ear Doc.
This is another Diallo comparison. Like,
yeah, if you want to extend the joint, I got one more question, and Ear Doctor, you can answer this too. So
you ain't about to keep me on here. I told
you gotta work, bro. You at work, bro. Chill.
Yeah, you are about to go to work some more.
Shut up and scratch.
Shut up. Whoa. Sorry,
my bad.
Ouch. Welcome to the Remix Morning Show, Geechee, y'all, where I can do this. Now.
I'm gonna roll up. Chill out. We want to roll up a little bit.
No, I do have to run.
You run, you'll stay.
Yeah. I was just saying, close up shop. This has been a great Friday. I'm glad we were able to do this. I'm glad we had these dope guests come through. And I guess I'll catch y'all on Sunday. And I wanted to say happy born day to my 15-year-old daughter today also. About to go take her out to lunch and everything. So, yeah, with that said, y'all rock out. Big up to all the remixes. Peace out. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Thanks, Ear Doctor.
So I said that I believe that thing is going to be used to say this Black woman is being disparaged by this white woman. Both of these Black women, right? And I wonder what y'all think will happen with the clip, because again, to Nefa's point, to Ricky's point, they become this strategic arm of the Democratic Party, who presents themselves to be unbiased. Right? They're gonna get hella credit for even bringing them on the platform, but again, as you saw, they're still gonna try to pull and delegitimize them. I don't think they were able to delegitimize them as much as they would do a pan-africanism by when they put Umar on there. And so to their audience, pan-africanism is Umar. So that, I think that is shot over there. But what do you think is going to happen with these clips? Is there going to be some type of spin is there going to be an effective spin after this interview? I know, Jared, I know you only saw a little bit. Come on, I know you saw the whole thing, but what do you think is going to happen post this interview?
I don't know, that Instagram you showed earlier didn't look like effective spin on their part, and it like backfired. But you know,
I mean, I'd say quick, like in the larger ecosphere, obviously after a few days, it ain't gonna mean nothing, right? So whatever it's going to mean in the temporary, it's going to be over these next 3 or 4 days when the Green Party will have to look and see, are they getting more calls or more people wanting to volunteer? Are their donations going up? For them, strategically speaking, that's what they want out of this, right? They want to be able to spread that message and get more people involved in the party. But I think for the Breakfast Club, like it is going to be other places that's going to take clips and they're going to rearrange headlines and titles. Green Party gets slammed for never winning an election. Green Party shows itself not to be effective. Angela Rye goes to town on Green Party, pointing out all their losses. So I think for other mainstream media or media that's reaching out to people, they also will, and that's part of the job of a Breakfast Club, right? They're going to take pieces and they're going to use it for what is purposeful for them. Like I don't, and to be honest, I don't know why the Green Party why they were invited. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think they were necessarily individually. I don't know if I think they were forced to do it as much as they thought maybe it was some interesting outlier conversation, which I think they've been known to do every now and then. But I also think they thought it would be a setup to bust them in the mouth, right? I thought they thought it would be a setup to get them on here, disparage them, do some identity reductionism, and make them feel small and look small. But I think they actually did get more than what they bargained for. They like, oh, some 70-something-year-old white woman can't handle me or whatever like that. And, they thought they would just put these folks in their place. And I do think that the outcome was different. And that's why I think at the end, I don't think that was fake drama from Rye. I think she was upset. She slammed her computer down, folded her arms. She didn't expect to be called somebody who's a talking points for white supremacy. So I think all that kind of stuff is not what they expected. But I think they're going to, again, the next steps of this will be to have other places, other people, and even them themselves start to put things up that are trying to show how they did well against the Green Party. And I think lastly, I'll say, I think the thing that AOC does, and then this afterwards, right? It does show like some worry on the fact that the Green Party, so it's so weird. Like they do this thing where they say, you get such a small amount of votes that it really don't matter, right? It don't matter what you do because you're not part of the game. But on the other hand, they keep screaming that they're taking votes from Democrats, and then they keep pointing out how Hillary would have won in certain states if the Green Party didn't, quote unquote, take the votes away from the Democratic Party. So on the one hand, they're trying to show them to be significant, but on the other hand, they were having them on because they're worried about their challenge to votes that they think belong to the Democratic Party. And so there is that small infusion, that small space where the Green Party is really mattering, or these third-party candidates are mattering, particularly now when there's a genocide, and particularly now where there is a active Arab and Muslim community, which is anti the Democratic Party because of their direct role in a genocide. So I think all of that is about to play out a little bit more, but it's all a part of the ecosphere around why they decided to have them on in the first place.
Well, I also have to acknowledge that at the end, when Jill got to speak last and say her statement, Angela Rye actually was bobbing her head yes and in agreement with everything she said. And as you see, AOC already got her. She tried to get her lick back too on Twitter. And Jill is definitely.
Oh, what does it say? Go back. Let me see what it says. Read it.
So nobody needs talking points to know Jill Stein hasn't won as much as a bingo game in the last decade. And if you actually give a damn about people, you organize, build power and infrastructure and win, which is really funny coming from AOC.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Crazy as fuck, right? And then Jill says, Jill says, well, AOC, you supporting genocide was not on my bingo card, but the Democrats have a way of changing people who say they are going to change the party from the inside.
What? I like this white woman. I like her. I don't know. I've only talked to Jill Stein once in my life.
Got a little snap, bro.
No, she got a little snap to her. She got a little snap. I like that.
Yeah, we've never talked outside of that interview on Saturdays with Renee, but I've at least I don't think so. But I've always thought that she was a competent representative of the Green Party. And but the problem, well, obviously the AOC thing, I mean, to me, that's just more evidence that people who have ever thought of her as anything of value are proven wrong. And then I love when people do that. They act like they're not part of one of the biggest institutions on the planet as they talk about the need to work and organize and build victories. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love, it's given that, when you play that team that has all the stars on it and they beat you, and then it's like the worst kid on the team is talking trash, and you're like, my guy, you've got everybody.
You was last pick, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you over there, like, you have everybody, and want to talk about how come we can't do what you just. I mean, it's so.